everybody, my name's Carrie. Thank you so much for being here. This is my channel on YouTube where I share all my crafty endeavors, and I appreciate everybody being here, whether you are new or returning. Today is June 16th, 2021. We are approaching the official first day of summer, and today it's going to be starting to warm up, which is nice. We are getting ready to soon be going on a camping trip, and that's exciting. And yeah, all that kind of stuff. Nothing too exciting has been happening. I can't really share any great things that have happened other than the fact that I am officially on summer vacation. School is out for the summer. You kind of get that song in your head, don't you? That makes me really happy. I was laid off when COVID started for about a year, went back to work in March, and had to work a very early shift, which I never got used to. So I am so happy to not be having to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning anymore. Instead, I'm getting up at 5:30. It's going to be a process to work me back, but I'm waking up naturally instead of having to wake up, which makes a huge difference. So thank you for being here. As you can see, I've got a quilt finished, a quilt top. I have not quilted it yet. That's going to be coming later, but I got my top finished. So I'll be talking about that, a new quilt I started, a little bit of knitting, not so much because I've been working on quilts mostly, but you know, we'll get into all that in a bit. I had a birthday last week, which I was very fortunate to get together with friends, and it was great. Very thoughtful gifts, and I want to share some of those with you. I got together with my work friends that I normally work with, didn't work with when I went back to work, and that was really nice. The plan is, because I work at school, the plan is in the fall, school's going to go back as normal. Kids in the classroom, full-time every day, no masks, no social distancing. Fingers crossed that really happens. You never know what's going to happen over the summer, but I am hopeful and looking forward to being with my normal crew because we have a lot of fun and we really get along and enjoy each other. So fingers crossed that happens. So I want to share a few of the gifts that I got. I'm not going to share everything, but something that I think that you all need to check out. My friend Michelle from the Naughty Knitwits gave me this gorgeous wood-turned bowl that has purple swirl resin on it. So this came from Nanette Wake's studio, which is right here, and her husband turns wood bowls and wood spindles, and he fills in with the resin, which I just absolutely love. Isn't that just pretty amazing? I love this so much. I'm trying to figure out where I want to put it to where I will be able to see it and use it most often, but I haven't gotten too far with it because I wanted to show you guys first. So isn't that amazing? Very cool. I had some very, very thoughtful gifts this year, which made me feel very special, and I appreciated everything. Whew, it's getting hot in here. Let me just turn on my fan. That's much better. I got this from Leslie, which is kind of silly, but it is pretty freaking amazing. And I'm going to take this camping with me because, I'm sorry, it's probably loud in the microphone. Let me find the button. Oh, shit. There you are. Oh, got high speed. I love it. I'm going to bring this camping because it's supposed to get into the 90s. No. And I will be in the mountains, but it'll still be really hot. We won't have any power, and so I won't have any kind of a fan, but I think that's pretty awesome. So, anyway, okay. I'm kind of all over the place. I didn't write a script or have any show notes or anything. I'm just like, I got to record this before it gets too hot and before I get involved in other projects, before I go camping, all this kind of stuff. So bear with me. Oh, there was something I forgot. Okay. I'm going to pause and I'm going to go get something real quick. Okay, let's talk about the quilt that's hanging up behind me. This is Fresh as a Daisy by Pen and Paper Designs. It is a pieced, regularly pieced pattern. I used my ice-dyed fabrics. I talked about this in the last episode. One of the things I forgot to say, and like I said, this episode, no notes, last episode, no notes. It's just sort of like flying off the seat of my pants. So I showed a little kind of a demonstration on how I ice dyed, and but I didn't complete the process in my explanation, and I wanted to talk about it. So when you hand dye fabric, particularly, you pre-soak the fabric in soda ash and salt, and that helps the dye adhere to the fabric. But there's always excess dye, so you rinse it out until the water's running clear. I go till it's mostly clear because I get tired of standing there rinsing it. And then I wash it in Synthropol. So Synthropol is a chemical, it's a soap, basically. It's like a soap detergent type of thing, and it removes any of the excess dye that may be not sticking, and pulls it away and suspends it in the water so it doesn't bleed onto something else. So washed it in that, and then rinse that out, and then I set it so that it's color fast, fingers crossed, meaning it won't bleed, with Retain. And this is a chemical that helps the dye stick, like it's not coming off. And I've used both of those actually, even when I've washed quilts for the first time. Like if I've not pre-washed the fabrics and I've got maybe a high contrast, maybe it's a white background with a color, brightly colored fabric or something. For the most part, fabrics won't bleed, but there are certain ones, like anything with batik is prone to bleed, especially if it's red. And so those two products, wash the Synthropol, pulls the dye out, Retain holds the dye, whatever's left on the fabric is going to hold there. So I did do that with all of the fabric before I cut it and made it into this quilt. So then I worked on this quilt, and I had talked about going on my little retreat with my friends, and I got most of the little units made. So each little part of that is a little unit. I got most of that done. There's 25 blocks, and then it was just time to put it together, and then that went really quickly. So I had it on my design wall, worked on like where I wanted colors, so I didn't end up with like too many similar colors together, which was kind of hard because I have a lot of similar colors, but I think I did a pretty good job. And then I put it together, and when I had first laid it out, I just laid it out kind of in a grid, a 5x5 grid. But as you can see, when you put the quilt together, it offsets them, and that just changed it completely and just made it even better. So this is a really fun pattern to make. I gotta slow down here. Okay, it's a really fun pattern to make. You can make it with jelly rolls, like a 2.5, because those are just 2.5 inch strips. And according to the pattern, you would need 25 2.5 inch strips. So if you even have a partial jelly roll, or you've got scraps of fabric where you can cut your own 2.5 inch strips, you can make a real scrappy looking one, because I think one strip you can get a whole flower cut out of it. So your whole flower is the same fabric, but then you can have a variety. I would make it again. I probably won't, because I generally don't make the same thing twice. But I really like it. I really pushed myself to finish it because I was starting the Alaska Rainbow Quilt Along quilt that I talked about in the previous episode, and I needed this off my design wall. So that's why it's hanging the way it is, because I've already started the other quilt and it's on my design wall. Do you want to see it? Okay, let me show you. I'm going to take this down. And there it is. So this is the Alaska Rainbow quilt that I'm doing as part of the Alaska Rainbow Quilt Along, that is hosted by Chip from Fiber Hustle, Emma and Tracy from the Curly Seams, and Stuart from the Wool Patch. And this is the quilt. It is a quilt pattern by Laundry Basket Quilts. Edita Sitar is the designer, and she had done a quilt along, I think last year or something. And so there's kind of a format to use of what blocks you're going to do and that kind of thing. So this last week, or this week that we're doing, is supposed to be the week that you start sewing, and you're going to sew the first 2 blocks. Well, I got a little carried away, and I'm further along than the outline, but you know, it's my own quilt. I can do what I want. This took me about a weekish to cut out, and you use templates. So every single piece is cut with a template. That is very time consuming and difficult, because you got to keep everything. You got to make sure your template doesn't move. When I bought the templates, and I got them, most templates, if you're going to use them, will come with a paper backing that's on there for when they make the template. I leave the paper backing on my quilt, or on my templates, because when you put that on your fabric to sew it, it gives it a little bit of grippy to not slide around. So I got all my pieces cut. I got the well, where do I start? I wasn't going to do the quilt. So Chip from Fiber Hustle had mentioned it on their podcast, I don't know, a few episodes ago, and I thought, wow, that's really amazing. I went to the website and looked at it, and I thought, yeah, no, I'm not going to do that. That is just too intense. It's templates, it's angles. It's like, oh, I don't know that I want to do it. Until Chip calls me and says, you're going to do this, and I'm sending you the fabric. So he's so sweet and so generous and so pushy and persuasive that I said, okay, fine, I'll do this. I just don't know if I can get it done in the time frame, but I'll try it. And so I got the fabrics, ordered the pattern, got the templates, and I started going for it. So I pre-starched, did not pre-wash, but I pre-starched all my fabric before I started cutting it, and I starched it pretty heavily with a heavy starch to give it some stability, because every piece has bias edge. So when you're cutting fabric, for most quilts, you're at right angles, and that's straight of grain this way and this way. When you cut on a bias or cut on an angle, that side of the fabric is very stretchy and can stretch out of place, and once it does, it doesn't go back. So I thought, oh, this is just going to really be a very tedious quilt to do. But I thought, okay, pull all your knowledge from all the quilts you've made and the classes you've taken and all the stuff you know, and you can do this. Pre-starched my fabric, got it all cut out. I did make a change. The quilt background, as you can see on here, there's the background, and then there's like sort of a shadow color. Those were more of a cream color, which is just not me. And I happen to have some gray that I happen to have enough of it to do. So I changed what the background color is, and I'm really happy I did that, because I just think the colors just look brighter, and it's just more me. So anyway, got everything cut out, and then so like last week was supposed to be like, get your fabric ready, get your stuff cut out. This week was like, let's start the blocks. Every week in this quilt along is outlined out, and you're making 2 blocks out of the 49, I think is how many is in it. And each one of those blocks you make 4 times. So like, say that block, there's 4 of them. That block, there's 4 of them. So you're just doing that. And so I just got myself set up and organized, because I work better that way. Got all my pieces cut. All the fabric came with a label of what the number and the name of the fabric was. So as I'm going through the pattern, I can pull the right ones. Still sometimes pull the wrong colors, because there's like 3 or 4 different greens. And I had to did a little surgery on 4 of the blocks because I had the wrong colors, but easily fixed. I know how to do it. Yes, it's a pain. Nobody wants to do that, but I can. And so I thought, I'm going to start sewing this and just see how it goes. Well, once I started doing that, I got hooked on it, and it's surprising me how much I'm enjoying doing it, because I have a hard time staying focused on one thing for too long, which is not a good thing. It's not something I'm proud of. This is really making me sort of narrow my focus and just sit and do it. And I'm really enjoying it. I'm really, really enjoying it. And so I'm really thankful for Chip for convincing me and supplying me with what I needed to do it, because I would not have done it otherwise. So that's what I got done so far. Let me see. Can you see the side of it? Let me turn. There we go. Let's see. So what I'm doing is I am using glue to hold my fabric together instead of pins. And what I'm doing is I'm just using Elmer's washable white glue, and just a tip, just a little boop, boop, boop on where the seam's going to be, right at the edge of the fabric, so it's within the seam. I line my two pieces together where they need to go, and I press it with my little dry iron, and that dries that glue and holds it. It's not permanent. It will wash out, and I plan on washing this quilt because it's got a crap ton of starch in it. But it holds it, and like the pieces, I can stack those pieces, like get everything ready. I'm doing sort of an assembly line. Well, it's not sort of, it definitely is an assembly line process of getting all my pieces and stacking them up, and then I'm just chain piecing, and then I'm going and I'm just pressing, and I'm just getting into a really good rhythm, which is really nice. One of the things I'm doing when I'm pressing, I am using a dry iron, but I'm using this product. It is a precision piecing, starchy kind of a product. It goes with this pen, so this fills up on the end. This little end screws off. Fill the reservoir with that stuff, and it's got this nib on it. Can you see that? And the starch goes into the nib. That is a retractable. You just push it down, and then more of the starch goes down. I just swipe that on the seam, press it, and I'm getting really flat seams. I'm going to pull one of the blocks off so you can see. So you can see how nice and flat those seams are looking, and how my points are pointy, and everything's working really well. With something like this, I just really want to take that extra time, because everything is a point everywhere on all this. The whole quilt has got points, and I don't want the points to be chopped off. I really want to make sure that they're pointy. And you know, there's a few that maybe are, well, not this one. This one turned out pretty good. But for the most part, they're all looking like this. I am pressing to the side as per the instructions. She gives you instructions on pressing it, but you're making like two halves and then sew those together. And when I sew the two together, I'm pressing that seam open, because that's a lot of points that come together right here. And with that type of a block and this type of a quilt, that's a lot of bulk right in the middle. And I don't want that to poof up. And it's not. It's laying really flat, which you can't tell with me holding it, but just trust me, it is. So that's just how I'm doing it. And then it's like I work on the 4 blocks that are all the same, get my little assembly line going. I've got myself set up, and when I'm going to go work on the next block, I pull all the pieces that I'm going to need from it. And you know, look at the instructions of what color goes where, lay them all out on my little board that I have, and stack 4 high so that it's a 4 of every piece, so that I can just make all 4 blocks. And I just assembly line it and go. Some of these, like this, took a little bit longer. This is a lot of pieces. Some of them are a little bit easier, like that one's a little bit less extensive, and it went a lot faster. And I'm following the outline. I'm just going ahead a little bit. I started because I thought, well, I'm going to be on vacation soon, and I'm not going to have a sewing machine. I'm not going to have power, so I can't be sewing, and I don't want to get behind, because you don't want to get behind. And I really honestly thought I wasn't going to be able to finish it in time, and it ends, I think, the end of July. Yeah, July 31st it ends. So I honestly thought, when I talked to Chip, I thought, I don't know if I can get it done, but I think I'm going to, because I am at the point now that I'm halfway done with the blocks. And yesterday I worked on the ones with the orange, and so that was kind of fun to have a new color, you know, because they've all been pretty much the blues and grays and stuff. So I'm having a ton of fun doing it. I'm so thankful that I am doing it. And I think it's going to be pretty cool. We've had our like a Zoom kickoff where we got to meet people that are participating in the quilt along. And Curly Seams and the Wool Patch, they're both in the UK, and so they've got a lot of UK people joining, and so it's just really fun to have people from all over the world, people in Australia and just everywhere, which is just neat to be a part of. So I don't know what I'm going to do with this quilt when it's done, but I'm not worried about it. I am not going to worry about it. I've been posting on Instagram my progress. Just, you know, as I get a few blocks on the wall, I am attempting to take a picture every time I finish one of the blocks, like the set of 4. And I put it up there, and I'm going to try and stitch them together so I kind of have a time lapse of it going together. It may work, it may not. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. So that has been taking up quite a bit of my time. It's been nice since I am now on summer vacation because I can work on it a little bit longer when I'm a little fresher in the morning. I can work on it before it gets too warm up here. And so that's really nice. So stay tuned on the progress of this quilt. I have done a little bit of knitting. I am also participating in a quilt along, or not a quilt along, but a knit along. Also sponsored by the other half of Fiber Hustle, which would be Aaron. He is doing a Vertices Unite, so it's a Hustlers Unite cowl knit along, and we are doing the Vertices Unite pattern by Stephen West, which is that. I am not that far. I am still working on section 1. You are striping 2 colors, which I have these 2 colors, which seem to me like they've got quite a bit of contrast, but when I knit them together, it doesn't have that much contrast at all. You can see that it's a little striped, but it's not very contrasting. I still love it. I still think it's me, very me. This is still section 1. I am close to finishing section 1. You need 90 stitches, you know, as you're increasing, and I'm at 86, so I'm really close. Then you decrease, but not for very long. So this will be what I'm working on when I'm camping, since I can't be working on that one, and I hope I'll catch up a little bit. My only concern is it's a little tricky, like, you know, joining. So I'm doing this section, and then this section's next, and then I think you go into here, so then you're having to pick up to do that kind of a thing. And Stephen West has great videos on how to, but when you don't have power and you don't have internet because you're out in the woods, I'm hoping I can understand it. I am going to look into whether or not, I think you can download videos from YouTube. I have to look into it and see if I can maybe download them to my tablet to watch, that I can just watch it without internet. I'm not sure. So hopefully when I get to that part, I'll understand the instructions enough that I don't need to watch the video, because then I'll be really frustrated if I get stuck. So that's going to be my main project to work on. I was planning on knitting up some sock tubes on my knitting machine, but my knitting machine's having a little bit of trouble. I did manage to get one sock tube done, and I've gotten the heel and the cuff, and I'm working on the toe. And this is yarn by Lolo Did It. It is Helping Hippos, which was a colorway that she designed or did after Hurricane Harvey. How many years ago was that? Quite a few years ago. Hit Texas, I believe. Pretty devastating hurricane. And she did this as a fundraiser type of thing. Like, so much of the proceeds went and supported something. So this is basically just a light gray with bright colored speckles. Be a really fun sock. I was having troubles getting this one to knit. I got pretty far, and then all of a sudden it was jamming up. So you've got the top bed. I'm doing it on my flatbed machine, talked about it before. And so these needles go this way, these needles go this way, and they're supposed to just sort of dance nicely together, and they're colliding with each other, I think. So something's gotten off in my adjustments, maybe the distance between the two beds or something maybe over time has just worked its way out. So I need Jim to look at it, but he's been with his finger. Oh, his finger's doing really good. So thank you for the well wishes and positive thoughts and stuff like that. He's healing very nicely. The doctor's very happy with it. He had been seeing the hand specialist every week, and now he's to the point where he can just go see her like in another month. He is healed enough now that it's not open, so his risk of infection has gone down considerably. He's not on antibiotics anymore. He doesn't look like he'll lose the top of his finger. The doctor even said he may not lose his nail, which seems bizarre. Right now it's still stitched on, but anyway, it still looks really ugly and still looks really gross, but he's taking really good care of it, and he's keeping it clean and has not gotten infected, and it's going to heal the best it can. It will always have kind of a weird looking finger, but right now he's just letting it heal and now trying to stimulate it in a way that the nerves find their way back. He has feeling on one side but not on the other side of the finger, and he needs to do like hot and cold and touch it so that the nerves can feel that and try and go there. So that's kind of where he's at now, and he's still working on the deck. It's a very slow process deck. It's looking beautiful, but man, that sucker's slow. So the fact that he went right back into working on it, I think is what's helped, because he still was like using his arm and, trying to like grab things this way kind of a thing. And that created blood flow to his hand rather than just letting it be stagnant. And so that's healing up really nicely. And I don't know why I went there. Oh, the knitting machine. So he's been a little busy, a little preoccupied, and hasn't been able to have time to look at my knitting machine. So I had hoped I was going to knit up another, sock tube. And I got this beautiful yarn from Lori for my birthday. This is from Rock and String Creations in the colorway The Royals. It's self-striping, and it's just beautiful. It's these beautiful jewel tones with a little bit of gray, which I think is probably just like a row or two. And so I tried to even knit on the machine with this, thinking, well, maybe it was just that yarn, and it's just not. Something's not right. So I don't really want to knit the socks by hand, but I may need to. No, well, I don't know. It's not like I don't have projects. In fact, yesterday I was like, I just need to start something new. And I came up here to get ready for my my Zoom knit night that I do with my local knit group. And I've got like 2 or 3 project bags sitting up here with projects that I really should finish. So I don't think I need to start anything new. I'll be able to do it. I'm going to try and stay focused this summer. What else? Oh, there was something else that Lori gave me that I thought was really neat. And I don't know, I had never heard of it. And so I don't know if you have. And it's called the Snag Nabbit, and it's by Dritz. And what it is a needle type thing. Let's see if I can get you to see this. So you can see that one end is smooth and it's got a point on it, and the other end up here has got this like it's kind of rough, almost like a curl, like a screw. I don't know, it's just kind of rough. The idea is to pull through a snag, whether it's on your knitting or just on anything, any kind of clothing. You put the needle through and then you get the snag to kind of grip onto this little rough part, and then you just pull it through. I'm like, that's brilliant. Thought that was really cool. Thanks for joining me. I hope you're having a great beginning of summer or beginning of fall, depending on which hemisphere you live in. And I'm going to keep on sewing and keep on creating and keep on crafting. So stay tuned. Like, thumbs up, and subscribe. I never say that, but I'd appreciate it if you did. And I will catch y'all later. Thanks for stopping by. Bye. Okay, I'm going to glue my piece. I'm using Elmer's glue. Put it in a little pot. I'm using an old tapestry needle so I can get a little blob of glue on the end. And I'm just going to touch a little dot on a few spaces. I stick my piece on, line it up, press it with a dry iron. That helps dry the glue, and then my pieces don't come apart. Then I can just stack them up, take them to the machine, and sew them.